Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to present the draft roadmap being prepared by the Secretariat to promote coherent, collaborative, and scientifically robust ways and means for enhancing taxonomic knowledge in the area. This draft consolidates the activities and priorities identified by the previous ISA workshop on deep-sea taxonomic standardization held in September 2020 with the support of the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries of the Republic of Korea and the MABIC. In this presentation, I will revisit ISA's context and policy framework, the vision being proposed for the roadmap, as well as thematic actions, suggested timeline, and strategic partnerships for its implementation. One of the responsibilities of ISA is to adopt appropriate rules, regulations, and procedures for effective environmental management. These include guidelines for baseline studies, monitoring programs, assessment of potential risks and impacts that may arise from activities, as well as effective regional environmental management plans. The common basis among these environmental management tools and approaches lies on robust scientific data. The compilation, synthesis, and analysis, as well as dissemination of the scientific data, demands its standardization, which for the specific case of biodiversity data is based on taxonomic identifications. The need for standardizing and innovating methodologies for deep-sea biodiversity assessment, including taxonomic identifications and description in the area, has been identified as one of the 6 strategic research priorities emphasized in the ISA Action Plan for Marine Scientific Research in support of the United Nations Decade of Ocean Sciences. As mentioned at the start of today's session, the ISA Assembly has adopted this action plan in 2020, which has been developed based on the strategic directions, high-level actions and associated outputs endorsed by the members of ISA through the adoption of the strategic plan and high-level action plan for the period of 2019 to 2023. A number of short-term and long-term outputs of the plan are specifically related to the strategic research priority number 2, including the development of standard operating procedures for collection of environmental data, establishing a global exchange and sharing platform among contractors and relevant scientific communities on environmental monitoring, developing and using innovative tools and methodologies for biodiversity assessment, increasing the number of established partnerships for sharing data and information among multiple archival systems, among other proposed outputs. In addition, one of the challenges of the authority is to contribute to the achievement of relevant goals and targets of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, as well as other international environmental targets, through cooperation with relevant regional and international organizations for the conservation and sustainable use of ocean resources, consistent with the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea and international law. In this context, the draft roadmap envisions to facilitate the integration of taxonomic knowledge into ISA's efforts for protection of the marine environment in the area. This can be achieved through enhanced data sharing, innovative tools, networks of experts and organizations, as well as reinforcing capacity building initiatives. The ISA has a unique position to implement this vision as the primary custodian of the data collected by the exploration contractors, which is compiled in ISA Deep Data database. There is also a growing network of collaborations among contractors and the deep sea scientific community, and the members of ISA have also endorsed a strategic programmatic approach for capacity development aligned with the needs of developing states. Finally, the Action Plan for Marine Scientific Research in support of the UN Decade, which has been adopted by the ISA Assembly, provides the policy framework. The scope of the roadmap has a truly global dimension by extending to all mineral provinces and deep sea habitats where current exploration and potential future exploitation activities will take place, by bringing together expertise and applying similar approaches across all regions, in close link with the regional environmental management process. During the 2020 workshop, several activities and priorities have been identified for advancing deep-sea taxonomic knowledge within the context of ISA. These activities can be grouped into the following themes: activities related to exchanging taxonomic data and information, approaches for ensuring data quality, and additional areas of research for improving and standardizing sampling methodologies and data analysis. Throughout the workshop discussions, several actions were also suggested for enhancing capacity and raising awareness on deep-sea taxonomy. In the next few slides, I will provide further details on these thematic actions. Regarding data sharing, the workshop highlighted the importance of establishing interoperable links between ISA Deep Data, the Ocean Biodiversity Information System of IUC UNESCO, and the World Register of Marine Species, as well as other global databases for taxonomic and genetic information. Also, across the various breakout discussions, several tools were suggested to be developed for effective use and sharing of deep-sea taxonomic data, and these include taxonomic keys, field guides, species checklists, and also standardized reference catalogs and annotation schemes for species identification using images. Several approaches were also suggested for improving quality assurance and quality control of the taxonomic data that is being generated by multiple programs, including baseline studies by ISA contractors and scientific research projects in the area. A critical importance was placed on the comprehensive metadata information, such as the location, sampling protocols, names and contact details of the taxonomists, to enable effective compilation and synthesis of data across different studies. Another element that is the long-term storage of voucher specimens, either in the national museums or curated private collections. It was highlighted that the location of these vouchers should also be made available to users for potential scientific validation. Other proposed activities included undertaking intercalibration exercises and the periodic reviews of the data contained in deep data. The various expert groups considered that further research is needed to scientifically validate sampling approaches and develop smart technologies for improved species identifications using, for example, environmental DNA and artificial intelligence. Some examples are highlighted here to advance the assessment of microbial communities in water and sediment samples, expedite in situ and ex situ sorting of meiofauna specimens, increase gene and image libraries of macrofauna, and further investigate the intercalibration needs from using different tools for megafauna surveys. Regarding capacity building initiatives, a series of modalities were suggested, including dedicated training and mentoring programs, development of e-learning courses and other online training materials, as well as small grant schemes for exchange visits. The workshop also highlighted the need to bring together expert taxonomists as well as parataxonomists who are trained in species identifications for long-lasting legacy of taxonomic expertise. A digital platform has been suggested as an effective tool for catalyzing new collaborative partnerships between contractors and expert taxonomists, but also to strengthen linkages between existing taxonomic resources and promoting opportunities for developing deep-sea taxonomic capacity. Lastly, this platform would also be useful for accessing and disseminating taxonomic knowledge in the area, therefore increasing deep sea literacy. I'm now pleased to inform you that over the course of this year, the Secretariat has already implemented or initiated some of the indicated priorities, including the technical workshop held in the past 2 days, focusing on image-based taxonomy. A major achievement earlier this year was the collaboration with IOC UNESCO to establish ISA Deep Data as an OBIS node. And another important milestone was the update of the reporting templates and metadata template for submission of digital data to deep data using international standards such as the Darwin Core. I'm pleased to say that the Legal and Technical Commission has endorsed these new templates in its last meeting, which took place 2 weeks ago. And this will allow the ISA contractors to use the new templates for the next reporting period. This year, we have also initiated a collaborative project with the Natural History Museum in London, supported by Pew, to undertake a review of the taxonomic data available for the Clarion-Clipperton zone. You will hear more about all these initiatives under the next agenda item. As for medium-term outputs, our efforts will be dedicated to establishing collaborative networks between contractors and relevant scientific groups to advance species identifications and descriptions, as well as expanding the digital platform for sharing taxonomic data and also developing new tools such as the ones that I mentioned earlier in a previous slide. For all these activities, we'd like to encourage the active participation of all contractors as well as taxonomists and scientists to cooperate in these initiatives. Our long-term vision is to extend a series of training and intercollaboration workshops to all mineral provinces and continue the review and update of methodologies, tools and approaches for enhanced deep-sea taxonomic knowledge. This work will be aligned with the development and implementation of regional environmental management plans for the various regions. Several strategic, technical and financial partnerships have already been engaged, and we hope to further involve members, contractors and other relevant stakeholders of ISA to facilitate the development and implementation of the roadmap on deep-sea taxonomic knowledge, which will also take into account a series of programs and activities that are being developed under the United Nations Decade of Ocean Sciences, and therefore enhancing synergies as well as avoiding the duplication of efforts. Those partnerships and initiatives have been established under the scope of a new initiative being developed by the Secretariat together with relevant scientific groups and stakeholders, which is called the Sustainable Seabed Knowledge Initiative, or SKI in short. This will be a flagship initiative to facilitate the operationalization of the roadmap that is being proposed by establishing a global partnership framework for advancing the knowledge of deep sea environments and ecosystems in support of the ISA's mandates. Specifically, SKI lies on several building blocks or components, which I will describe in brief. The first component focuses on generating new knowledge on deep sea biodiversity, and this would be achieved through the description of species from existing and new samples collected by contractors, and combining this new biological information to create biogeographic maps and advance the understanding of species distributions and connectivity. The second component focuses on developing the integrative and innovative tools for biodiversity assessments, including regional species lists and guides, as well as compiling genetic and image libraries for developing machine learning methods. Another component is dedicated to effectively sharing and using deep sea biodiversity data and information through linking deep data database with other relevant data management systems. A very important component is dedicated to establishing a global network of deep sea taxonomists and centers of excellence for deep sea taxonomy. One other area of work under this initiative is to establish links with long-term observation systems to design effective monitoring programs across a broad range of spatial and temporal scales, aligned with the regional environmental management process for the various regions. And finally, SKI initiative also aims to promote stakeholder engagement by creating a web portal to facilitate the coordination and sharing of information among different components and to reach out to various audiences that can benefit from SKI outputs. Our next step will be to identify further potential partners and donors to mobilize resources and expertise that would allow the Secretariat to successfully implement the roadmap on taxonomic standardization within the framework of SKI and to achieve the outcomes proposed in the ISA Action Plan for Marine Scientific Research in support of the United Nations Decade. In the next session, we'll hear more about the progress and outcomes of several activities that have been developed over the past 12 months, as well as new opportunities for engaging in the SKI initiative. We greatly appreciate all of your support and contributions to these efforts, including your participation in this workshop. And please note, this is just the beginning, and we look forward to building more opportunities through workshops and other consulting activities, and to continue very fruitful collaborations that will last for decades to come.